Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Deb Coviello, and welcome to the Drop-In CEO Live Talk Media, where I'm so excited to share the mic with my friend, Ben Baker, the owner and creator of Your Brand Marketing. Ben, thank you for joining me today.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. I love when you give me these phone calls and say, do you have some time to do this? I go, absolutely. Always happy to share the mic with you. Always happy to have the conversations because I never know where it's going to go. And it's always a great thing.
Yeah, but what we haven't told people, and we're telling them not now, is like, Ben, yesterday afternoon, can you jump on with me tomorrow morning? Sure. After I'd done a podcast.
We'll figure it out. I just got off a podcast. I'm talking to you. I've got another one at 3:00. Why not? I love talking to audiences.
Yeah, that's what we love to do. But listen, let's just get right to it. So, our work is similar in our areas. One of the things that I have been challenged with, I put a lot of content on insights, inspiration, how to lift people, especially those high performers in organizations or those that have been in business for a while. And I was challenged to understand about the talent that got away.
Yeah.
Now listen to me, the talent that got away. We bring people in, they're exuberant, they're excited, they are high performers and performing. And then they leave. And
Yes.
so this is near and dear to your heart. I'd love your thoughts on that because ultimately I want to start changing the thinking and maybe something that people can do today. So Ben, what do you think?
Well, the first thing I tell people is, after I say thank you for having me on the show, is every employee that you lose costs you $100,000 to replace. And it's not just the HR costs. It's not running the ads. It's all the ancillary costs that go with it. It's the fact that your other employees are short-staffed. It's the fact that, good employees take customers with them. They take other staff with them. There's lots of things to consider. And we need to be thinking about that. And the other thing we need to be thinking about as business owners is we're not going to keep staff forever. We need to get out of that mentality. We need to get out of the mentality that our employees are going to be with us for 25, 35, 45 years. Yes, it happens. Absolutely, it happens. However, we are in a society and we are in an economy now where people want to be learning. They want to be advancing. They want to be learning. They want to have different experiences. They want to have different challenges. And not every company, can afford to constantly be giving every employee the experience that they need to get them to the next level. And we as companies need to be able to embrace that and sit there and say, look, this manager or this leader can only take this employee so far. We as a company only have the ability to be able to support this person to a certain level. And we need to embrace the fact that they're coming in. They want to learn what they can learn. They want to do what they can do. They want to do the best job that they can. And when they don't feel that they're learning anymore, if they don't feel they're appreciated anymore, if they don't feel they're listened to, understood, and valued anymore, they're going to go elsewhere. And they may go somewhere else, learn a different skill. And guess what? 5 or 10 years, they might be back at your work because all of a sudden they've learned skills and you've followed them on social media and you've connected them and you've kept connecting with them. They've learned things that you sit there and wait a second, that's now a vice president material. Let's bring them back. So we need to get out of the mindset that we can take every single employee along every step in their journey and realize that people are going to do what people need to do. They need to grow. They need to experience. They need to see different things. And we need to think of our lives and our companies in project mode instead of this long-term continual, the person's going to be sitting there banging that same hammer on the assembly line for the rest of their life. Because it's a different world, it's a different mentality, and we need to be able to support that. And I want to get into onboarding with that. There's lots of things to consider, but I'll leave it there. We can move forward.
That's such a shift in mindset of thinking that, we may only have this individual for 2 years, 5 years, 7 years, if we're lucky in this day and age. Why don't we maximize that time, that 2 years, 5 years, and 7 years? And then what do even the people that they follow or they report to have the skills, have the mindset that let me give this person as much of experience and get as much as I can out of them because they might be leaving soon. I mean, do the leaders in the organization even have the skills to be able to continue to develop and train and
They
keep them
don't.
engaged? So,
That's a
what?
big challenge, is that throughout corporate North America and probably around the world, the Peter Principle still exists. We promote people to their level of incompetence. We sit there and say, well, we need to give this person a title bump, because if we don't give them a title bump, they're going to leave. But we don't give them the training. We don't give them the support. We don't enable them to succeed in this next role. We just give them the title bump because we figure if we give them the title bump, they'll be happy for another 6 months or a year. And that's the problem, because all of a sudden you now have a bunch of managers or leaders or whatever you want to call them that are totally and absolutely ineffective. And what are they doing? They're causing the people in their teams grief and making them miserable. So all of a sudden, the people that were happy doing what they're doing now have somebody who's ill prepared to lead them and empower them and coach them and mentor them and inspire them above them, and havoc rains downhill. So we need to sit there and say, if we're not willing to support our people, if we're not willing to train our people, if we're not willing to empower our people, we're definitely going to lose people.
And this is beautiful, because I'm right now coaching in an organization where there is somebody at a level that don't have the essential skills to motivate, to elevate, to develop the people under them. And then I'm dealing with a high performer that reports to bundle of energy. And I'm worried, am I going to be able to help that person either rise above all of the lack of support, or are they going to leave? Now, I'm happy to help them. I hope they're successful, because they will leave if they're not feeling like they're making an impact. People will only bang their head against a wall so far. We're telling them they have the control to leave and find a different path out.
But we need to communicate that. It's setting people up for success. And how you set people up for success is not by burying your head in the ground and saying things will work out. We need to communicate openly and honestly within companies. If you have somebody in a leadership position that is causing havoc, if they are the bottleneck in the company, we need to have those open and honest conversations with them, because it's not just them. It's what other issues are they causing throughout the organization. And you're right, you have these high-level performers that report to this person that are frustrated, and not only are they going to leave, but all of a sudden that really good customer that they brought in is going with them. And that really good sales support person that works with this person is going with them. And maybe 3 or 4 other salespeople that sit there and say, you know what, you're working over there and you're being treated better. Are they hiring? Absolutely. Can you bring up? Yeah, I got a bunch of clients I can bring over. Let's go. And that can happen for marketing. That can happen for ops. That can happen for anything.
And so now it's not $100,000 problem. It's maybe $1 million problem.
After tax.
U.S. or Canadian?
U.S. Let's it could be euros for all we know. It's one of those things. It snowballs so quickly because people are afraid to deal with the problem. People are afraid to sit there and say, well, Sally's been with us for 15 years. And you know what? She's always been loyal, and we just got to keep her. We just got to find a way to keep her. But people don't do what it takes to keep her and be able to do it properly. They just kind of forget about the situation. Just let Sally do what Sally does, because we don't want to upset Sally or John or Alan or whoever. But when you do that, you're creating absolute havoc down the line. And that's what most leaders and senior people just are not appreciating, is how much havoc gets created because you have one person in the situation that is just an ineffective leader, doesn't understand how to lead, tries to manage people instead of manage process, and doesn't understand how to lead people effectively.
Now, I've got a question for you, and this you're giving me some therapy right here. I am working with an individual high performer, and sometimes they should really be the leader, but they're not in that role. So I advise them, manage up, start coming forth with your ideas, make your proposals, start thinking of yourself as the leader. You eventually will be perceived as the leader. Is that good advice, or are they wasting their time because the leader is just not going to change? What are your thoughts?
It depends on the organization.
Okay.
I think it's excellent advice. I think that my attitude is leadership is a mindset. It's not a job title. We all have the ability to lead. We all have the ability to sit there and say, and step up and sit there and say, you know what? I've got a team of people around me. How do I help make that team better? Obviously, my leader, my manager, whoever it is not doing their job. Maybe I'm going to take it with it amongst myself to sit there and say, what can I do to make sure the team's motivated? What can I do to make sure the team gets support? What can I do to be to be an example for people? And I think that those are good things, and good leadership will recognize that and be able to hopefully promote that person and be able to sit there and say, you know what, this is a better person for this position than the current person that we have. We need to deal with this in one way, shape, or form. But a lot of people, especially are threatened by the people that are beneath them. They're threatened, and they intentionally keep them down. They intentionally steal their suggestions, and they make themselves look good instead of shedding light on the team. And that's how this all gets perpetuated. So it's up to senior manager. It's up to the CEOs to, first of all, appreciate who the good people are and actually keep their eye open and their ears open and be realistic about who the good people are and who the person isn't, even if that person's your wife or your son-in-law or your son, or daughter-in-law. Just because somebody's family doesn't mean that they're the right person for the job. Exactly. And, I've seen that more times than not, where people have been put in positions of power because they're family. And getting rid of them makes it really uncomfortable at Thanksgiving. But this is your company you're talking about. This is your livelihood. This is the livelihood of every single employee that you have. You need to consider that. And that has to be more important.
So I love I'll say tough love conversation that you may have to have with the leadership to make the decisions from a sustainability perspective for their business. But you talked about, and this resonates with what I think, is that you attack it from the top or the middle. From the up and coming, the high performer, we talk about stepping up, step into leadership, see yourself as a leader, but most importantly, be visible. That's my advice for the high performer, that maybe they're in a challenging situation. The more visible you are to that leadership, and if you have smart leadership in place that are looking for those gems, they'll recognize them, give them more respect and exposure, and maybe they're part of the future state and move those leaders that shouldn't be leaders to a different place.
Yeah. I mean, COVID has given us a great opportunity because we've had the work from home, because the workforce has been scattered, to really understand who has stepped up and who stepped back. And, because we've also had to let people go, which with our intention that we're going to bring people back, it's a really good time to evaluate who are the people we truly want to have on the team moving forward.
Yeah.
And be able to sit there and say, now is the time to upgrade our talent pool. Now is the time to upgrade our company, and be able to sit there and say, this is what we did in the past. We had Band-Aids and duct tape and all that kind of stuff on the company. It's time to rip off the Band-Aids. It's time to rip off the duct tape. It's time to sit there and say, who do we want to be as a company moving forward? What are the things that are important to us? What's our purpose? How important are our people truly to us? How important are our clients and our vendors to us? And be able to make the changes within the company now to be able to set yourself up for success moving forward. Because those are the things that are, as we come out of this, as we move forward, as we move to from the darkness to the light, it's going to make us a much more attractive company, both to attract new talent and also for our clients and our vendors to be able to support us.
Yeah. Amazing advice to the leadership in these organizations. You have a perfect opportunity now. And for the people that I'm also focusing on, those high performers people, you may not have a mentor in the workplace. Now is the time to be even more visible, manage up, put your thoughts out there, see yourself as a leader. if not here, maybe if you're fortunate enough, you'll be seen and visible and respected and realized and supported. Or if nothing else, you're gaining new skills that you can take someplace else. So this has been an amazing conversation. Any last thoughts, Ben?
Yeah, and I just want to get on that mentor bandwagon.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to have a mentor. CEOs need to have a mentor. I don't care if you're the CEO of $1 billion company. Bill Gates has a mentor. If Bill Gates can have a mentor, so can you. And if you can't find a mentor within the company, find a mentor outside the company. Find somebody that you know, like, and respect, and approach them and say, look, these are some issues that I'm having. These are some guidelines that I have. I really like to have an initial conversation with you about it. Have that conversation. And then over time, say, you know what? Would you mind if I came to you with, over once a month? Once every 6 weeks, once every 8 weeks, just for an hour or a half an hour, just to be able to bounce some ideas off you, because I really respect your opinion. And we all need to have that person that we can sit there and say, I just don't understand. And hopefully that's the person either can, help you out of that hole, or can at least point you in the right direction.
Beautiful. I love talk media. I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. Ben, thank you for jumping on with me. This is an important conversation. It's an important thing people need to be thinking about and actioning on. So thank you, and wish you a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Deb. I appreciate it.
All right, be well.